everyone? Welcome back to another episode here on the Broad Street Boys podcast. We're back. I know it's been a little bit since we released an episode. Happy we're back, getting some content rolling out. Schedules are kind of freeing up. I'm excited. A lot is going on in the sports world, especially for baseball. Personally, that's my favorite sport. That's why I played growing up and everything. And I'm super excited to be talking about that here today. And I think, boys are too, right? So first thing I want to touch on, our boy Nicky Cass is an all-star. I am so excited for that.
Oh yeah, I mean the guy's just a stud. I mean his swing is different this year. It's quicker to the ball. It's shorter. He's currently hitting 305 coming into this Marlins game. He had a home run last series. He's been driving in runs. I saw this stat today, and this is reign true. He already has more hits than last year, the same amount of home runs and more RBIs than last year.
Yep.
And it's not even the All-Star break yet. So
Nope.
I think for him, that's a big deal. And I just really hope he keeps this up. And I feel like him as the only All-Star is very interesting for us too. I feel like coming into the year, we would have all thought possibly Bryce Harper if he came back before, someone like JT Realmuto.
Yeah,
but
Trey
the fact
Turner.
that Nicky C, you would think Trey Turner, and then all of a sudden Nicky C is just this rising star out of nowhere, and you're like, oh, okay, so he's pretty good at baseball.
Kid's
now,
good.
I know, and I would like to ask both of you, who else would you like to see in Seattle other than Nicky C? I have one person in mind. I just want to hear both of your takes on this, because there could be a few, like Bryson Stott, Alec Bohm, or anything. So one of you could take that away.
The only other guy that I think is truly deserving of the All-Star title is Craig Kimbrell.
Thank you.
He has once he gave up the Grand Slam to Max Muncy, he has been one of the most consistent relievers. And yeah, you can make an argument for Stott, but in comparison to Albies and Arias, he's not on that level.
Yeah.
But in terms of bullpen, we certainly have a few guys in the bullpen who I think could be an All-Star.
I'm with you. Jake, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say Kimbrell as well. He's always been someone that has been on my radar just because of him being on the Braves and then having that, wacky kind of motion. Mm-hmm. And then when we picked him up, and I was like, I've heard this guy's name. Let's see what he's really about. Then actually watching him play with us and the things that he's been doing, hitting 400 career saves and everything, this season he's having is absolutely incredible. I think, like you said, there is a case there for Stott. In his second season, he's fifth and sixth in RBIs, hits, and something else. Yeah, an average
too.
In his second ever season, which is incredible. So I see him as a future All-Star, maybe next year, 2 years from now. I think there is a case to be made. But, once again, young guy has to kind of prove himself coming into the league and everything like that. So, I think he could be someone that could flourish into that, All-Star role. But with the way that Ozzy Albies and, Luis Arias are playing right now, I think that spot's taken. It's a shame to see Harper kind of struggling, particularly with coming back from the injury and everything. I'm excited to see him start to play defense again, and hopefully that happens very soon. But batting wise, I think he is struggling, and there's no doubt about it. But which is kind of weird to say because he's been hovering around that 300 until pretty recently. But that's typical. Like he's struggling and he's hitting 300, which is really good. So
that's how you know he's a star too. He's just a stud. So,
exactly.
I think the struggle for him is he has no power. It's that's common coming back from Tommy John surgery. So I'm not worried about it yet. It's going to come back, just like Nick Castellanos. He started out the year he was hitting doubles, but there's no home run power. And then he kept saying just be patient, it's going to come. He kept working through it, and once he hit one, he's now on to 13, 14 on the season.
13, I believe.
Yep. And I want to go back to Craig Kimbrell real quick because it crossed my mind right after I said his name, but he's on the decline of his career, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think going back to 2019, maybe his velocity has consistently been declining.
Yes,
and all of a sudden, he was at 94, 95 to start this year. And the past month and a half, he has been consistently touching 97 to 99, which he has not hit in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big deal for a guy that is an aging veteran, as we probably describe him as nowadays.
Yeah.
I thought it was I'll just go off that and then go into Bryce Harper again. I thought it was very interesting that he just wasn't in it at all. The fact that he was the reliever of the month, right? a 0.69 ERA. He's perfect in save opportunities. He's 13 for 13 right now. The fact that he's not even considered is, I thought, was really odd to me. Like,
Yeah.
I guess it's a bit of favoritism from, I guess, both sides, like the MLB not loving the Phillies, us loving the Phillies. I guess it could be from both sides. But I just thought it was very interesting that he didn't even get a nod or even like a finalist sort of thing. And then with Bryce Harper, I agree with both of your stands. I mean, the power is gone right now. It's starting to come back a little bit. He's starting to hit balls, on the barrel. I mean, I watched the Rays game the other day. He got this ground rule double. It was 113 miles per hour, but it was double.
Yeah.
Now, if you think about it, like logistically and actually physically, as a left-handed batter, your right hand is your bottom hand. And the three of us know by playing baseball, everything happens with that bottom hand. Like, if that bottom hand is weak, if it's super strong, if it's okay, like it doesn't matter how, like what the, like, I mean, I'm not going to say it like this, but it doesn't matter what your other hand does, but your bottom hand leads you, and it kind of allows you to gain
It plays
power.
a bigger role in your overall mechanics for your swing.
Exactly. And I feel like the fact that is the arm that is hurt the most. I mean, that's why he just doesn't have any power. And it's not that he hasn't lost any power like in his legs or in his core. It's just his arm, and I bet his forearm and your forearm are underratedly the more like useful thing in an arm while hitting. And the fact that it is so, like, it's just on the decline right now. It's hard to watch for all of us as Phillies fans too. Like, we all love Bryce Harper and all that.
I wonder if playing first base it might either help him or hurt him. So coming back from the All-Star break, they plan on having him at first base, and like that's obviously gonna dictate what they do at the trade deadline. But I'm curious to see like how he does with throwing across the diamond. But one thing they have in mind is him not doing like all these crazy throws and whatnot from first, which might go well. He's athletic. But
the guy's a stud.
I think that'll help him. Like, he makes one good play, carry that over on the offense, and that could change the second half.
And as we've seen in the past, defense always leads the offense. And like imagine if we get like a double play and we're down like 2 runs. I feel like it gives us the momentum. It completely shifts, and then all of a sudden we score 4 runs and we win the game.
Yeah,
like the fact that defense does lead the offense is just a huge deal with that. Now we touched upon the Rays series. I do want to talk about it a little more. I know Jake, you have a lot more info on that stuff, so you can take this one way.
Yeah, so living in Tampa for a little bit and seeing the Rays, play and whole experience. But so the Rays were the best team in baseball. They're facing the Braves right now, which is their counterpart best team. I don't know if Rays are still number 1 and Braves are number 2, or kind of what the whole order is. Okay, so 2 of the best teams going face to face right now. Rays are currently losing 2-1 as of recording this. But the Rays only have lost their longest losing streak this entire season was 3 games. They've only lost 3 games in a row, and it happened 2 or 3 times throughout this entire season. They haven't lost more than 3 games in a row. They've always managed to like lose 1 or drop 1 or 2, but come back. You know what I mean? And now, after the end of the Mariners series, the Rays beat the Mariners 15-4. Then the Mariners came out the next game on July 1st, won 8-3, and then on July 2nd, won 7-6, which was the final score makes it seem closer than it actually was. It wasn't that close of a game. Then the Phillies played them, and same thing. Our record in June, our record on the road, absolutely phenomenal. So then the Phillies came out, beat them 3-1, and then 8-4, and then 3-1 again. So taking the momentum away from the best team in baseball while gaining that confidence, being a Phillies fan, but the Phillies players themselves, taking the series and sweeping the best team in baseball, I think truly shows a lot about this second half character that we saw last year when Rob came in, how they kind of turned it up. You know what I mean? So
I agree.
That is probably the biggest key right now for the Phillies, is riding the away game or the away series record, riding the wave of being the best team in baseball, and just riding the fact that they're doing well right now. And I know earlier we talked about the whole confidence thing and not winning games early on and, what needs to happen in order to turn it up. And I think that was like the like series they needed to win and the confidence they needed in order to do well the rest of the season. And I think we're going to see a very different team here the next half of the season, not just because it's the next half of the season, but because they swept the best team in baseball. And I want to touch on Harper's confidence real quick. Coming from the injury and stuff, I think he sees himself in that veteran role, but is now hurt. So he's not leading the guys like he used to because he's hurt. He's not doing as well as he used to because he's hurt. He's coming back. So I think that even though Harper's confidence has to be down right now, not having the same power he could, not playing the field, not kind of taking that lead role as strong as he would when he's healthy. But I think that this series win over the best team in baseball kind of revamped a little bit of the dynamics. And I think that we're going to start to see everybody come back and the team to start to do really well the second half of the year.
I'm with you. Just with all of it. Caleb, do you have anything else to say anything about this as well?
For the second half, I believe I saw it somewhere that the Phillies do have the most home games.
Yeah,
because they did not have much the first half. No. But like the flip to that is they do have one of the more difficult schedules. So they do make another trip out west. They play the Padres there, and then I think the Padres come back. We got, I think, the Red Sox one more time, the Blue Jays, the Mets twice, and then obviously the Braves. And there are a couple of other teams in there that, depending on what they do at the trade deadline, they could make some like critical trades to really boost them. But I mean, the second half, if we keep playing how we are right now and we just hold that wild card spot, we should be fine. But there are moves that we're going to have to make to maintain the spot that we have right now.
Yeah. I'm with you. So just the whole Rays series to me, a sweep is a sweep of any team is always going to help your team's morale. It doesn't matter. But when it's the Rays, like the best team in the other conference, that's when you're like, yeah, it's like it's a big deal.
Yeah.
I just feel like for the morale of the team, it's a big deal for us to do this. I think it kind of showed not only the people of Philadelphia, but I think the whole sports MLB world.
We're back.
Phillies are
ready
legit.
To play.
Phillies are legit.
Yeah.
We're actually before this game that's happening right now. We're at the exact same point and record that we were last year. Now, which could prove to be a very similar type of thing.
It was
and
2008, 2008 and last year.
And 1980.
Yes.
Yeah. So if it all stays true and we get around that mark and we just slip into the wild card, we can make some noise. And I think we're better than a lot of the teams above us. I think not on the talking points, but I think we're better than the Dodgers and the Marlins.
We're currently losing to the Marlins.
The Marlins,
but
not to say that take that away from anything, but I think we are as a team. Yeah, this game, forget about it. Don't even worry about it.
We have way more. We have way more veteran leadership. We have.
They got Arias. Who else?
Yeah,
Don't answer that.
I'm done right there. But those are the other two teams above us. Like I believe that we could beat both of those teams, and I think we're going to prove that we could beat both of those teams.
The Marlins, I think, will finish at the top of the wild card race, just because it's like they have. All right, so I'm just watching the game and the stats of the players. It's like they've seen Wheeler, they've seen Nola, they've seen all of our studs. We've seen Alcantara, but the other guys we really haven't faced yet.
Yeah, Yuri Perez, right?
Yeah.
The guy that I was calling. Yeah, guy's crazy.
There are a lot of guys they have that we're going to struggle against the first time we see them, and then I'm expecting the next time we face the Marlins and face those guys, we'll do better. I'm not expecting a series win out of the Marlins right now. And, they also have, aside from Arise, like Jorge Soler, who I believe has like 21, 22 homers.
Yep.
Low average, but he's always been that kind of guy.
All-star, too.
Who they have? They have a De La Cruz.
Yeah,
who's also hitting 280.
Jesus Sanchez can crush the ball. Garrett Cooper can crush the ball.
Yep.
Their team is good. It's just there's no leadership other than Gene Segura, and he's hitting 202. And we all love Gene Segura, but the guy's hitting 202. Let's be honest here.
And Jazz can't stay healthy.
Yep.
And Jazz can't stay healthy, and he's not playing his natural position. So I just think it's a team ready to crumble. But okay. Sorry. Aside from that, I'm going to ask each one of you before we run out of time with Jake. Are we satisfied with the first half of the year? Jake, you can go first.
I think I'm satisfied with the if we're dividing the first year in half, I think I'm satisfied with the second half of the first half of the year, not the first half of the first half of the year. But
that was rough.
yeah, and I think that we could have had a better start. Personally, I think we could have definitely come out fighting a little more. But I think there was a lot of, hey, let's go figure this team out with Rob, particularly with, like Pache and Clemens and Hall after Hoskins gets hurt, and Sosa. Like, all those guys are kind of thrown into that, like, also Harrison. Like, all these guys are kind of thrown into that. They fit, but where do they fit and how do they fit? And I think that that's what was being focused on the first half of the year, was how can we kind of move these guys around in order for them to, to be there for us when we need them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it kind of, like, coming off of last year, I kind of wanted us to be way more competitive out of the gate because of, the reputation, World Series, just the energy, the everything, you know what I mean? So, but I could kind of understand the first half of the year, the second first half of the year. I like what I see. And I think this is the Phillies that we knew that we were going to be. And I think that we're going to do way better the second half of the year, and we'll be right back in the playoffs.
Yeah. Caleb, go ahead.
Like the first half, slow start. A slow start's a slow start. We didn't let that stop us. I am happy with how they played the first half. We are on pace for at least 90 wins. So all we have to do is just keep up this pace that we are on right now. And you take the fluke, the beginning, the first couple of series out of it, and like we are a legit 90 win team.
Yep.
Now, the flip to that is, do you guys think that this team is better than last year's team?
No, because of Bryce Harper. But if Bryce Harper turns it on the second half of the year, yes. That's my take.
I think it's too early to tell.
I think it's also a little too early to tell. It's tough to say. I will say that I am satisfied with the first half of the year. Jake, I like your point. It was up until like May, like the end of May, early June, where I was like, this team is like it's hard to watch. Like it was like I would watch, but I would cringe through it. I would be like, this is hard to watch. But as soon as like June 4th hit, I feel like we kind of turned it on like how we always do, which is, I mean, it's great, but it's frustrating as a fan for them to suck the first half of the first half.
Yeah.
But as a whole, the fact that we became buyers instead of sellers in a matter of 4 weeks, I think it's a big deal. Because I'm not gonna lie, coming into June, we were definitely sellers at the trade deadline.
If we were sellers, I think the only guy we would sell is Nola. I don't think we would have. Maybe Schwarber. I don't think we would have traded off anyone else.
But do you see what I mean? I feel like we're now looking for guys who can help us instead of looking for prospects.
MLB said hypothetically we could get Paul Goldschmidt.
I've seen that too. We're gonna get into that later with who we should target free agency.
That's my one piece.
But I'm going to use that as an example. Like the Cardinals, they're in last place in the NL Central, and not every team's declaring them to be sellers this year.
Well, yeah, so, they put all the chips forward with Wilson Contreras. I mean,
that's why
how can you be sellers?
Even if the Phillies, if it was just an off year, I don't think that they'd be sellers because the White Sox, they've sucked for how many years and they haven't sold.
We're gonna get into the White Sox later because I want a few of their players.
Yep.
But I would say as a whole, we're satisfied with the first year. So the next talking piece we have is more of like a opinion thing / something that I've been hearing. Like people want to trade Alec Boehm for someone like Paul Goldschmidt, someone like a big name to really help us in the future. Now my question to the two of you, and Jake, I know you have to leave, so
no, you're good.
Just whenever. Is Alec Boehm a top 5 crucial piece on the Philadelphia Phillies to benefit the team?
Yes.
You can go first. One of you go first.
He leads the team in RBIs. He's turned out to be one hell of a defensive third baseman, something that I thought was going to be his weakness. He plays both third base and first. He is shown to be, or proven to be, a consistent 280 hitter so far this year. His power's really come through. I think he's already had matched his home run total from last year. He's not just hitting the ball to put it in play. He's hitting it to drive it to gap. So I'd even say he's top 3 right now when it comes to the lineup and like it clicking. Like when he's in the lineup, the team struggles a little bit.
I was just so funny you said that. I figured that you both would say yes to this, and I was like, okay, a follow-up question: is he a top 3? Caleb says yes. Jake, what do you think?
Absolutely. I think everything that Caleb said, I agree with. And
top 3.
Yeah.
Jake, you finish up, then I'll tell you who I think the top 3 are, just because it just popped into my mind.
Yeah, I think after the I hate this place incident last year, I think after that was his like event, and I think now he loves it, and I think he's doing really well. And I'm gonna leave you guys with probably a very very controversial, another terrible hot take.
Oh God,
we could get rid of 2 people and open up probably a good amount of money, and we could restructure a little bit. And I know we've kind of talked about this before, and I'm pretty sure you guys both disagree with me. We could get rid of Nola and Schwarber.
Good.
And we could go out and use that. Schwarber has cost us so many runs in errors, misplays, and just terrible defense in the outfield.
I mean,
so that's actually one of the points I'm going to talk about at the when we talk about the trade deadline, because there's a way I think we could fix the lineup without trading Schwarber, keeping him in it.
But Jake, keep going,
Yeah.
Jake. Keep going.
I don't think the home runs that he's hit and his offensiveness, I think it maybe puts him on par with his defensive falters. But that's not something you want out of a player. You know what I mean?
I'm with you.
So yes. I think either next year he needs to work insanely hard to not be the worst defensive outfielder in the entire MLB.
Yep.
Or we need to trade him. And Nola
I'm with you.
has his moments. You guys already know how I feel about Aaron Nola. Yep. Very streaky, up and down. I know my hair kind of looks like his now. I don't want to talk about it. But I think his back and forth, like split personality type of how he pitches, I think will kill us. Yeah. Because he can be good now.
So with you.
You know, I don't know what his postseason looks like coming off of last year, but I don't want Aaron Nola to fall on his face in the postseason and cost us because we didn't make a move sooner.
I love that.
And that's something you guys I agree with both. Thank you guys so much for listening to me today. Unfortunately, I have to run. Caleb and Evan are going to take this away and do the rest, everything for you guys. And I'll catch you guys in the next episode.
All right. Catch you, Jake.
Do Jake. All right. Now, moving on with that. That was a hot take, but I actually liked it. So what part of the Phillies are you most impressed with, Caleb?
I'm impressed with the defense. Like, I'm going to say the infield especially. Stott has turned out to be a solid defender. Bohm. Whoever we have at first, whether it was Clemens, Hall, or Bohm, like, they weren't terrible. They weren't bad. They didn't make a whole lot of errors. And
I agree.
The hitting, like, the home runs are down, but we're putting up runs.
The average is really high, I feel like.
Yeah,
is that too much to say? Like, I feel like the average is higher than it usually is for us.
Like, why I say this team is better than last year's team is because we're not so dependent on home runs to score runs.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like last year, like, if we didn't hit a home run, like, we were done. Meanwhile, like, we're putting up 8 to 12 runs, just singles and doubles. And we're playing playing more small ball and just being smart.
That's actually a good point, because if you think about it, in that playoff series, we had to hit a home run in almost every single one of those games to win the game. Other than it, so taking the
Cardinals game.
Okay, so let's so it's the Cardinals game, the game 1 of the Cardinals game 1 of the Braves game, or the Braves series, and then game 3 of the Phillies Padres series when Gene Segura had the punch hit or whatever. There are no home runs. In every other one of those wins, there was one or more, usually more than one home run. So I feel like the way you put that, I actually might think this team might be a little better than the last one. But I do agree. I think our minus Kyle Schwarber, taking him out of the equation, I think our defense has been like fantastic. Alec Bohm, you sent me that clip of him like last night with the chopper bare hand on the run throw to first to get him out in the ninth inning. That was clutch.
Something that we saw him struggle with a lot last year.
I thought that was so clutch. I mean, he's also a clutch hitter in general. He has probably like the most RBIs on the team, one of them. And then I feel like I'm really impressed with the bullpen. Oddly enough, Craig Kimbrell to me has been a stud. I've loved watching. I'm on that level now. Like how I felt about Sir Anthony last year coming into the game. Like I'm like, oh my god, okay, Kimbrell's coming in. He's getting the save. Like I like trust him. And okay, I'm going to say all the people, but Alvarado, I feel obviously good about. Not as good about, but he's. I think he's still coming off that injury a little bit, so he's still trying to find his pitches. I don't hate Marte. I don't hate him. He's just got to pitch one game, and Rob can't fall in love with him. Jeff Hoffman's kind of tough to watch. I don't hate Matt Strahm. I mean, he'll have his innings, but I don't hate him.
He can go more than one inning though. That's his plus.
Like last night, I thought that was the best I've seen Strahm pitch, and he pitched 2 innings. What was that, 10th, 11th, and won us the game. But just think about it. We're doing all of this without our best, or you can argue second best, relief pitcher of last year in Sterling Dominguez, who's hurt right now. So imagine if he comes back and becomes the guy that he was last year, and then you have a 3-4-5 in no specific order: Alvarado, Kimbrell, Sir Anthony. I feel like that's very reminiscent of like the Madsen, J.C. Romero, and then Brad Lidge that we had in 2008 when Cole Hamels we had Brett Myers pitching. Brett Myers, all he needed to do, he wasn't great, but all he needed to do is just go 6 innings. That's all you got to do. And then someone like Cole Hamels, all you need to go is 6 innings, and then we got Madsen, Romero, Brad Lidge. I feel like it's very reminiscent of that. And I'm also recently, this is the last thing I'll say about this, but recently I'm really impressed with our 3 and 4 and 5 actually starting pitchers. Obviously enough. I don't like Ranger Suarez has let up. I wrote this down. Ranger Suarez has only let up 4 runs in June. That's a big. He started out this year with a 6 ERA and it's down to 3.67. The guy's a stud and he's built for big games. You saw him in the Padres game. Taijuan Walker, 6 total runs in June, and Taijuan Walker is striking out 6 guys a game, and he is on average a 4 or 5 strikeout a game guy. The fact that Caleb Conklin has fixed his splitter, and obviously he's striking everybody out with the splitter essentially. He's using he's got like 6 or 7 pitches. He's just using the splitter more to strike people out. And then even we talked about this yesterday. Chris Sanchez, where the hell did this guy come from? I mean, he was god awful. I remember watching him live last year and the year before, and I'm like, holy shit, this is Chris Sanchez. We're gonna get blown up for 5 runs in the first 2 innings. Like we talked about this a little bit, but I feel like his stuff is just gross, and he's coming from the left side. He's got a weird arm angle. And the last two games, it's been 6 innings, 1 run, and he's had 5 starts or outings, and his ERA is at 2.84. Who would have guessed that? I mean, he's obviously not going to be our 5 going into the playoffs if we make the playoffs. When we make the playoffs, he could be like a Matt Strahm type of guy. Him and Matt Strahm could flip flop.
That's what I think his role is. So Sanchez has been really good recently, and part of what like helped him was like he spent a lot of time with Ranger Suarez. Like they're both lefties, similar pitches, and like Kroc was talking about how similar Sanchez has looked to Suarez when Suarez made the transition from relief pitcher to starter. And, you know, like he's hoping Sanchez can become number 5, number 6 guy. And I think he can.
I really like his, I mean, I didn't hear about that, but I love that because he's a very similar pitcher to Ranger Suarez. If you look at his stuff, like he's got that gross slider / curve. Like it's like a slurve sweeper thing, right? He's got that to put you away, but then he can lull you to sleep with his sinker fastball changeup. Like it's the exact same. It's almost a carbon copy to Ranger Suarez, except Ranger Suarez has a different windup. That's really all that's different. But I feel like I'm the most impressed with those guys, and I don't know. Those are just people that I didn't really see. Like I knew Ranger was going to be good, but Taijuan and Chris Sanchez, I just didn't expect. Now, we do have a tougher schedule coming up, especially in July. I will read them out to you before I ask you the question, but how do you think we'll fare against? We have the Marlins now. Then after the All-Star break, we have the Padres at home, who are not very good, but they should be good. That's
They've
really where
Snell,
I'm at. They should be
Musgrove, and Darvish.
Like it's about time for them to be okay. They're not even okay. The Brewers, who are second in their division, the Guardians, who are underratedly good, but they're also slumping, so that's not a tougher one. But then we have the Orioles at home, and the Orioles are hot. They have all those young guys, and the Pirates, who aren't half bad. So, how do you think we'll fare coming out of this All-Star break?
We'll finish July with like 700. Like I think maybe 1 or 2 from the Padres. Like the Padres, they're still a team that I'm not like, oh yeah, we could blow them out.
I'm with you.
It's really just the Padres and I think the Orioles, like the Guardians, Pirates, Brewers. I am not as worried about them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are, they're in weaker divisions. So even though
all of them are
like
except for the Orioles,
the Pirates, they started out really hot. Like they played legit teams, but also half those games are NL Central guys.
Mm-hmm. So it's just a whole different league. I feel like the Centrals in general are always different, and like the level of play just isn't as high as you.
And like expect. The second half of our schedule, it is tough, and if we want to keep a wild card spot, we're going to have to make some moves and give up some big prospects. Like we obviously keep Painter,
McGarry, I'm thinking,
but like McGarry, that might be someone we have to give up. Maybe even like Noah Song or Bellotti. Like we're going to have to give up some guys to get these studs to help us win more games.
I agree. I'm with you. I think July and the beginning of August is really going to tell us how we're going to fare for the rest of the year. Now I'm going to lead us into our final talking point, but this one might be the longest one. Now I'm going to start talking trade deadline. I drew out a few guys' names that I've seen on either ESPN, Bleacher Report, other websites, and these are the ones that like stuck out to me. Paul Goldschmidt, I think, is very possible because I feel like he wants to win. I would hope at his stages in his career, and the Cardinals aren't doing anything. They don't have enough pitching. Dylan Cease, which I didn't think about before, but he was top 4 pitcher last year, and he has turned it on.
He was up there in Cy Young.
Kyle Freeland.
Is Freeland the guy in the Rockies?
Yes. If we're targeting like a 5 or a 4, Freeland's the guy for like not as much money. We just target him and then maybe someone else to play first base. Like that's kind of how I see it. But Freeland wasn't bad for the Rockies. He's got around a 4 ERA, and he pitched. I mean, it's better. I don't know. Maybe you use him more in the bullpen with Chris Sanchez and just see who's feeling better that day for like a 5. I don't know. But he's like the 1 or 2 for the Rockies. So if you think about it, you can put him against like the worst teams in comparison to the Rockies. Put him against better teams. Cody Bellinger, he's on an expiring contract, and if the Cubs start slumping, they could look to shop him. I wouldn't hate that. This is one I think is very possible. I think we could do this if he doesn't go to the Dodgers. Joe Kelly would be great, like a bullpen depth.
We don't
sort
need
of guy.
bullpen depths.
But I'm just saying, if he does become available, and if like Bellotti doesn't come back, like having that 3rd or 4th guy, I think would be really helpful.
You're talking about the White Sox, so there's also Lucas Giolito, who we've been linked to, and what's his year? Like 3.
Yeah, he's been that changeup he has.
And it's like so what I have in mind is go after like 2 decently big name guys instead of doing the whole like let's just get 4 decent players, and like last year like we got Marsh, probably the best one, Sosa, and then Syndergaard. Syndergaard, he was good, like 5 guy, but
he was okay.
We have to get someone more legit than just a 5 guy if we want to go farther.
With you, no, I'm with you. And then the other guy I had was Eduardo Rodriguez from the Tigers, who we are actually also linked to very heavily. I've seen both on Twitter and on like websites. He's another lefty too, so and obviously Caleb Compton does something right with lefties. He may not help Aaron Nola, but he does something right with lefties, either mentally or something. But Rodriguez in that first 2 months,
he was
April,
solid.
May, he was good. He had like a 3 ERA. I mean, he might have mid-3, higher 4 ERA now, but you could see what he could do in the beginning. And again, I feel like with a lefty, it's very interesting. Now, one guy I do want to talk, what do you think that we'll have to give up for Paul Goldschmidt?
I don't think Paul Goldschmidt's in the question for us because we are sold on Harper playing first base.
Yeah,
we are.
I mean, I don't get that.
We're sold on that, and right. If it works out, they'll keep him there. But let's say it doesn't work out, Harper goes back to DHing. For Paul Goldschmidt, we can't give up Alec Bohm. If we give up Bohm, we can't have Sosa or Harrison playing third base the rest of the season. Bohm, like I said, he's a critical piece for our team. If we're gonna go after Goldschmidt,
that's who would be in there, no doubt. And I'm with you, and that's honestly, so that's why I put him as a talking point in here, because I don't want to get rid of Alec Bohm. I think he's so crucial to this team. The only way I'm giving up Alec Bohm is if Shohei Ohtani becomes available and we just throw all the chips at him. That's the only way, and that's never happening. So, unless the Angels, but I don't. It's highly doubtful. Now, out of those guys, who's the most intriguing? Do you think?
Well, actually, there's another guy that I really like, and I would love it if the Phillies asked the Red Sox about him. But Alex Verdugo, he is on a 1-year contract with the Red Sox right now. He's due to be a free agent, so we pick up the contract, all right, and then we don't have to worry about him, which allows us to then Harper at first, Schwarber DHing, Verdugo in left or right, and then obviously Marsh in center. And that, I think, and you're also adding a guy like 280, 290, not a power guy, but just someone who hits. Dude, it just hits. He just hits.
He just hits. No, I didn't even think of Alex Verdugo. I didn't know he was on a 1-year deal. So I do love that. Listen, for a team like us, an expiring contract is perfect. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be Bellinger, who can play the outfield. It could be Alex Verdugo. I don't care who it is. If it's an expiring contract, I kind of want him, just so we're not tied to him for the next 3 years. I almost like that more than having someone like Kyle Freeland who's on contract for the next 3 years. I think the one that's most intriguing to me is Dylan Cease or Lucas Giolito, just because they've shown greatness, especially Dylan Cease. Last year, I've never seen a knuckle curve that hard. I mean, it was disgusting. And he's not even a big guy. I mean, but that pitch is gross. And I feel like almost he could help or try to help Wheeler and Nola too. I just feel like do something. That's where I'm at. Do something to benefit the team. I don't care who it is. I mean, I'd prefer it not to be like someone small, like Sosa Marsh was cool, but I would prefer it not to be someone super small. But just do something, anything to freaking help us, and I don't care what it is. And another guy that I kind of like is Cody Bellinger. He just crushes baseballs. But do you have anyone else in mind in that sort of situation?
I'm trying to think of teams that they have some studs, but they're not going to go anywhere. Verdugo's the only guy I can think of.
I still want Masataka Yoshida, but he's never coming here. So
he's going to be in Boston. I don't want to touch anyone on the Nationals.
Awesome. No, I'm good. I mean, Lane Thomas has been good, but I don't want Lane Thomas.
Honestly, I would like another contact lefty guy, or
that'd be cool.
Who's a power righty guy that we could put in the outfield with solid defense, because I'm honestly prioritizing defense over power right now. Obviously you want a guy that can hit 280, 290, but there aren't a whole lot of those guys anymore.
That's the thing. I feel like outfield is more designated for like power hitters nowadays. For oddly, like we need a guy like Nick Castellanos who could just crush doubles, and I feel like Alex Verdugo is that guy though. I do love that point.
I really feel like he would be.
He brings a lot of swag to this freaking team. Though.
He
brings big ego. He rocks those chains. I mean,
he's got the grills, which I kind of hate, but
yeah, so do I. Did you see he was pissed? I think there was an interview today or yesterday about him not being in the All-Star game. I mean, he deserves it. It's just very much, and he called it a popularity vote, which I thought made me laugh.
He's not wrong,
but he's not wrong. I mean, Craig Kimbrell isn't in it, and Josh Hader is, but whatever. Looking past it. Now, that's all I have for our talking points. Do you have anything else to talk about? The Phillies are currently losing, I think. I'll look again.
3-1.
Yeah, we're losing 3-1.
Was it?
Yeah, JT went yard, which was cool.
He's a second half guy. Like, there's not a lot of things I'm worried about. Maybe Schwarber. That's it.
I am. Listen, my thing with Schwarber, just take him out of left field. Put him in DH.
Just let him.
Did you watch his Cubs air live?
Yes.
I mean, he literally face planted. It looked like he got sniped. He literally face planted. I mean, it was embarrassing. I'm not concerned. I think Trey Turner's gonna have a very similar thing to Nick Castellanos this year, and into next year, which is Nick Castellanos is now. But I just feel like Trey Turner is obviously not as good. But I feel like next year it's all going to come back, and he's going to have like a Nick Castellanos all-star type of year. And Trey Turner, I feel like Trey's ceiling so much higher than Nick's too. So I feel like he could be like an MVP type of player again, like he was last year and the year before. So that's not really a guy that I'm concerned about either. I feel like him and JT will turn it on eventually. It's just JT is kind of frustrating because sometimes he'll hit for the cycle like he did, and then all of a sudden hit 170 in the next 9 games. And then you're like, what the fuck? And then you're like, what? Why? And I don't know. That's the only thing that kind of scares me with him. And I actually do like using Christian Pache with Brandon Marsh. I love Brandon Marsh against righties. I love him. Like, he's awesome. I think he's bringing so much like the mentality he has is great. But Christian Pache crushes lefties. Crushes. He's shown that with his average, and even with like 2 home runs, 1 home run. So I do like that. And he's
fat. They're both super fast.
Oh my gosh. Him, Sosa, and Marsh, and Stott. And Turner. We have such a quick team. Alec Bone's not even that slow. Like, and Harper can burn it. So I feel like our team is very well rounded in general, which is awesome. Which just makes it more fun to watch. Yeah, that's all I have. Do you have anything else?
No, those are my only points. I think the teams that we should really try to work with are Red Sox, Tigers, and White Sox.
White Sox. I'm with you. All the teams that are really like spiraling with good, solid players.
Yep,
I'm in. So thank you all for watching or listening on Spotify. Yeah. So Jake had to head out because he has a meeting to get to. So Caleb and I kind of took over here. I'm sorry if you were confused or anything. We probably should have mentioned that in the beginning of the video. But I do want to do another one with Jaden about the Sixers because James Harden has opted into his contract, so we're going to trade him or try to trade him. So be on the lookout for that in the next week or two. But yeah, so Caleb and I,
we'll see you.
We'll see you later, and we'll see you in the next one.